Hello and welcome back to the Just Chatting episode 44 of the Epoch podcast. I'm your host, Perry the Pig. With me as always is my co-host here, Dread. Dread, welcome back.
Hello, this is Dread, and in today's podcast topic, I'm pulling Perry on with me here because I had an idea. So of recent, we actually didn't have anything planned for this episode, so this is kind of like out of the hat here.
It is.
But I keep seeing so many people, talk about CoF and MG. And one of the main things that I see is there's like so many people that seem to have no gear and they're always CoF. Well, like the MG people are always happy with gear. Now, my question, for today, for everyone in chat and for Perry, what the heck is going on with CoF? Why are people sucking at last Epoch and CoF?
All right, so we're gonna talk about CoF gearing. Is that topic number one?
For the
here?
first part,
I think that's
then
fine. Okay, good.
We'll talk about CoF, then we're gonna talk about, and then I'm gonna talk about my experience with MG and people's experiences with MG, so we can compare the two and see what the heck is going on. Because it seems like as though a lot of people are having problems with gearing in CoF because it literally has become a meme at this point everywhere. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, like I'm having a terrible time. I have no good gear, and I ask them, "Are you MG or CoF?" And it's always CoF.
Yeah,
so
like my gear sucks. I'm CoF. Like I'm
you
CoF.
are
Of
failing
course my
people.
yeah I'm CoF. Of course my gear sucks. Yeah, I've seen that like 2 or 3 times. You've heard that a couple times. Yeah,
it's
hilarious.
It's everywhere. It's literally everywhere.
So we're gonna make fun of people who are bad.
No, we're not gonna make fun of people. It's just you gotta remember. I went to the MG side to work for the MG people.
Yes,
I had you be CoF.
Yes,
and you're failing the CoF people. You're failing them.
Someone in Twitch chat just said something interesting.
I haven't seen a single video about prophecies. I haven't seen a single video about efficiently doing prophecies. I'm gonna been failing.
Hold on. You're making some good points right here. Shit. Wait, what happened to my pen? All right, I don't use this pen very often. All right, can I show you my pen?
Yeah, let me see.
There's literally nothing there. This is how often I use my pen. My desk pen there's nothing there. What happened?
I can't see it yet. I'm waiting for it on stream.
I'll do a notepad document after this podcast is done. Somebody in Twitch chat remind me that I need to make some CoF videos.
Yeah, you're failing the CoF people.
I am failing the CoF people. Someone in Twitch chat just said something interesting. They said, I think CoF rewards people who are better at the game because they know like how to make good use of their time, how to farm multiple things at the same time, so just target farm one thing, how to use the prophecy system, and like that's a good one. So there's definitely experimentation to be had with the prophecies. Like one great example is I didn't know that you could get creation prophecies, but there's people in Twitch chat who tell me like, hey, you can make creation prophecies, and I have 100 runes of creation, and I just copy everything willy-nilly because I have more than I could ever use. So like that's a CoF thing that like I know about, someone in Twitch chat knows about. If you've been in my Twitch chat, you know about, but like other people might not. So yeah, you know what? I should make some more videos, shouldn't I?
Yeah, but like I said, that's just been the prevailing meme in the community.
Yeah.
And whenever I talk about MG, I've been playing a lot of MG builds, and like you can go and look at the gear on my builds. They're not. I told everyone. Yeah. I told everyone I'm not holding back. Like I'm going full
LP, baby.
We're going crazy. Like if I can buy it, I'm using it, right?
So how do you get good gear? I guess like
in CoF specifically, because it seems like
you buy prophecies for it. Like if you want tier 7 cooldown recovery speed belt, you go get prophecies for belts. So early on, I made a mistake in how I was doing prophecies because like basically once you're level 9, you unlock your 3rd slot for putting in those lenses in the prophecy system. So I had been doing no arena, item slot, and then unique or exalted, and I think that's bad. I don't think that's a good use of your things now. So what I do now that I'm above rank 9, like I can farm up juice favor very quickly. So I'm currently playing like a pretty zoomy build, but realistically, any build that's like 400 or 500 corruption, like
that is a good point.
Realistically, once you get to 400, 500,
corruption is by far the most important part.
Yeah,
you need to have a decently good build to get started, because like the problem is if you're in lower corruption,
it's not to get started though. It's like to continue rolling.
Yeah, or whatever it ends up being. Like you need to at least get to like a decent corruption. I would say like 400, and be able to do it like pretty fast, because being able to rush those XP mono echoes is like your main source of
you could even get the experience blessing from the first mono, and then like that's gonna give you more favor over time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna address one thing real quick, and then I'm gonna go back to talking about the prophecy system. One is like, it's the same thing in Path of Exile as it is in Last Epoch. The number one way to make currency or favor or to progress your build is don't reroll every 2 days. And I know someone out there, or a lot of people in Twitch chat, are going to feel personally attacked by that. But like, you can really engage with the endgame systems of Last Epoch when you're in the endgame of Last Epoch.
I know.
If you're just re-rolling, you're gonna feel bad. Yeah. So, has it been confirmed the SP blessing affects favor? Yeah, that's how it works. All right, so when I do prophecies these days, what I do is double, twice, and then whatever other thing you want to do. So, like the double and twice is it's like 90% increased cost, but you get like double the uses of it, and then like 80% increased cost, but all the items are doubled or something like that. So whichever those two are, like double and twice, and then whatever the base type is. So like belt or body armor or whatever I'm specifically farming at the time. And the rationale for not using the ones that say like 100% reduced chance of arena is you just click the reroll button and you don't take that prophecy because arena sucks. So just don't do those.
Just don't do the arena ones.
Yeah, just don't click on them. It's no big deal. A couple other pointers is like, there are unique ones that say like guaranteed 1 LP, and they're an absolute scam. They're like 5 times more expensive, and every unique item on the ground is going to have 1 LP. Like,
because of the way it's sealed.
Yeah, because you're swimming in 1 LP items. Like 1 LP items don't even make my heart rate go up anymore, and like probably not for you either. Like 1 LP.
It depends.
I'll get a 2 LP item someday. Like, 1 LP Aurora's Time Glass, cool. 1 LP Orsirian, cool. 1 LP Ravenous Void, cool. But like for the most part, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. And that seems to be the biggest thing in general that I've seen is efficient favor spending, at least early on. For MG, that's important. For later on, when you're pushing higher corruption, favor becomes worthless. Like you can just get like a bucket load of favor very quickly, but you do need it eventually to sell items, because if you don't sell items, you're not going to be able to afford items.
True enough. Yeah, man. I want to talk about immersion skill later on too.
Obviously, we'll talk about submersion skill. Don't worry. I physically cannot help the CoF people because I have not been playing CoF. I'll have people come in my chat and they'll ask me CoF questions like, Dread, my CoF stuff sucks. I don't know what's going on, and I can't help them.
Get the experience blessing. Farm quickly at 400, 500 corruption, or like whatever highest corruption you have. Don't reroll, and then double twice, and then item type for whatever you want to do your prophecies for. Another like nice little pointer for CoF stuff. We're gonna have to rename the episode to like CoF pointers. But another good one is to realize that the bosses, like when it says like you kill a boss in a monolith, it doesn't have to be like the final boss at the very end. Like you'd have to kill like Ra Ye or Lagan or something. There's the nodes that reduce corruption, which is like the most beautiful, cinematic, coolest area in the game, and like 95% of people don't even know that this place exists. Because why would you, right? Yeah. Why would I reduce corruption? So next to your monolith web, in the very middle, there's like one little offshoot that isn't connected to anything, and it's called the Sanctuary of Eterra. And in the Sanctuary of Eterra, there's 6 bosses, and they just stand there, and you punch them, and they die, and you boom, huge loot explosion.
And if I'm not mistaken, they don't seem to scale that hard off the modifiers. Like
how could you
they're
die to
pretty
them?
wimpy.
They just
They're
stand
pretty
there.
wimpy.
They're slow too, whatever.
And something that I see a lot of people, this affects like Merchants Guild. I'm sure this affects COF, but like you do want to be doing the highest corruption you can. You also want to be doing it comfortably.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing like an echo every like 5 minutes instead of like an echo every 1 minute or something, like it's not efficient. Like you need to be moving through those echoes because those XP echoes I found are just the best way of gaining favor by far. Like killing monsters is good. You want to kill monsters on the way and all that, right? But you also want to be getting to those echoes, like the reward echoes, like the XP ones, which were not useful up until this patch. And I'm happy that
it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. It's nice that there's actually useful now. And the problem is what I'll do on like my last like 4 builds that I've played a level 100 and pushed to like 700, 750 corruption and all that. As soon as I was done with the video, you know what I did, Perry? I bumped it down to 600 and just farmed faster and put on movement speed gear because that's just more efficient than going higher. Now, if you're playing some ridiculous shenaniganry where you have 60k ward, then sure, of course, go farther, right? Sure.
Yeah, whatever you can do quickly.
Sure.
If you can do content, if you can do content while also watching my Twitch stream on the second monitor, that's peak.
And
That's
putting on
perfect.
movement speed,
That's
like
perfect.
a double pair of movement speed. Like I think the first thing that every character, if you want to farm the most efficient, the first thing every character should do is get a pair of double movement speed boots. Getting a pair of double movement speed boots opens up everything for the game because odds are 90% of the time you're going to be running around. You're just running around, getting to objectives, stuff like that. So reducing the time that you spend in those situations, like for instance, I was playing that Brand of Deception build with the
Plague Bearer stuff.
The runic Gale with the AoE.
Yeah, gotcha.
I made 300k favor in like a few hours of playing easily, right? While I'm playing the Tempest Strike Beastmaster, I'm like, it's a joke in comparison.
I want to pause for just a moment. Like I've received questions from people still, because like there's a lot of new people in the game asking like, what does double movement speed or what does double life mean? And like this is going to be obvious for a lot of people, but someone's going to be really happy that we talk about this. So when you're making a legendary item, you can put affixes onto the unique item that are already on the unique item. For example, if you have gloves with attack speed, like Wing Guard, you could put more attack speed on your Wing Guard, and then you call those double attack speed gloves. Or like, if a pair of boots, like Blood of the Exile, has movement speed on it already, you could put tier 7 movement speed on it. And then all of a sudden, you have double movement speed boots. Like, there's no restriction in that regard. Which means that, so double movement speed, double attack speed, that's what we mean when we say these terms. And now, absolutely, totally.
What's interesting is when you are pushing, like when you're farming for favor, if that's all you care about is favor, because you want to, because like I'm going to assume prophecies are how you get most of your gear in CoF, correct? So if that's the case, then, because I know how it works with MG, I don't know how it works with, CoF. But so when you die in an echo, right, you don't lose your favor. You lose some time, sure, but if you go and kill more monsters and you go back into echo, you don't lose favor. So it's better to be slightly squishy or whatever it ends up being, but significantly faster, because you'll just get more favor per hour. So like for instance, on some of on some of my builds, I have literally used a double movement speed pair of boots, right? Just literally as much movement speed as I could possibly get, even if it doesn't give me like any HP, right? And then on like, Dread, like on a boss or like Oribus, I die. Who said you can't boot swap? Just keep HP. It's literally one click. It's one click in your inventory, and all of a sudden, look at that. I have like 1,000 more HP, and then I can face him because you don't need that much movement speed in Oribus fight, right?
If I've seen people do 9 item swaps for boss fights, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, go, you can do boot swap if you really want to.
If you
every
feel
time
like
boot
you
swap,
really
you'll
need
feel
to
cool.
do it. Yeah, if you really need to do it, you can boot swap. But I would heavily suggest, sadly, with the way that Last Epoch is currently made and coded and everything, like no matter what, movement speed is still king. Like it's still king. If you're like some random melee like Rive character and you have 30% movement speed, no matter how much things you're killing per hour, you are still going to be less favor than someone who doesn't kill anything on the way, but just rushes those XP monos.
Movement speed is a more multiplier to your damage because it makes you deal damage more often.
Yeah, I think the problem is like people aren't used to this in general, because before this patch, it wasn't as important. But now that like actually killing things gets you favor, and it actually represents how well you're doing. Like for instance, like Perry, you have some good gear in CoF, right?
Fine.
Yeah, like you have some decent gear, right?
It's fine.
Like, and if you want to go get a specific item, you can go get it in a decent amount of time, right?
Yes.
And you feel comfortable with doing that.
If I need a 1 LP item, I will get that 1 LP item. If I need a 2 LP, it'll take some time.
Sadly, like this is kind of a reality check for a lot of people, right? All the people who left Path of Exile to get away from it for the movement speed meta and stuff like that, or like in general with Path of Exile, the clear speed meta, yada yada yada, whatever it was, right? Well, it's coming back just in Last Epoch's version, where now instead of killing every single monster to get maps and divines and all that, right? Now you're killing things for favor, which then either feeds into MG, where you can sell your items to be able to buy items, or you make prophecies. In MG, a 3 LP item is 19,000 favor. If you're in like 100 corruption and you're at 20% movement speed, that will take forever. I don't know the prophecy cost, but I'm pretty sure like 19,000 is a pretty like decent amount, right? If you're going very slow. Like
if you're going slow, yeah, definitely.
Like you have to think about these kind of things. That's why builds like the one Perry is playing right now, right? Like with the Ghost
Rider,
yeah, and like the build I just played, it's like Dread. Like for instance, the Runic Gale Branded Deception Rune Master. It only has 500k ticks on the dummy, but I called it one of the best builds I've ever played. Why did I say that? Because I hold down Flame Rush, it kills things for me, and I run through the mono, and then all of a sudden, accidentally, I have 300k favor to spend, right? That's why it's the best build I've ever played, because people aren't used to that, because the meta before was corruption pushing, right? Obviously, because, we didn't have the same kind of merits, but now that favor is so important, like, and especially if you're not playing like the best build ever, favor becomes even more important because you're not pushing those ridiculous corruption numbers. Like for instance, like Snap, when he was pushing like 2,000, 3,000 corruption, yada yada yada, right? He was literally capping out the favor constantly. But
he said there's like 999,000.
Yeah. And if you are in 200 corruption, you're going to be starving if you're going slow, right?
I mean, this reminds me of something that good old Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games said in the past. And like when people asked him about the clear speed meta, and like if one build can clear a piece of content, and the other build can also clear that piece of content, but in half the time, this build better because it's doing it faster.
Yeah.
And like that's action RPGs. I'd be surprised if people are like upset about like clear speed meta.
I mean, they're not upset. It's just more like, I think, like in general, like when people come over to like Last Epoch, they think it's going to be a more casual game, which it is, right?
It is,
but
definitely.
That doesn't mean you can't, get better at it and refine things and get faster.
I mean,
like
going faster, killing monsters faster, having more explosions per minute, like that's good. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't mind the favor being pretty low at that much, because the idea is to actually incentivize you to push corruption. Like last patch, I didn't feel like pushing corruption ever. But do you feel like actually pushing corruption somewhat this patch? You get more favor, which means more prophecies, which means more gear, right? The more prophecies per hour is the more gear per hour, right? For COF, I don't know. Like, is that
No,
how it
that
works?
is how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, more prophecies equals more loot per hour, and it's the same thing with MG, just in a different way, right? So it's just like
I
you
remember
want
something
that.
something recently that EHG said. People were complaining about getting 2 empowered monoliths and then getting over the hump of like getting from 100 to like 100 to 200 or 100 to 300 because like that's the slowest part of the game right now. So like when you make a new character, like the campaign's fine. Like you can skip or you can not skip. Normal monoliths are in a good spot. The level 90s are in a good spot. Like getting from 400 to 500, 600, 700, like that's in a good spot. But when you first get to empowered monoliths, getting 200 corruption on all of the monoliths so that you can get like 5 slots when you're like trying to get your blessings for the first time, like those kinds of things, that's currently the slowest part of the game. And like they mentioned something that they wanted to do. I don't think they mentioned specific details, but like it'll be better in the future.
You want to see something funny? I DM'd you a post.
Upcoming bug fix to Ballista. This
I don't know if did you see that? It was like 3 hours ago. So before the fix, if you had 100 dexterity, you were getting 13.5 radius.
Yeah.
After the bug fix, you're getting 6 radius.
Good.
Yeah. That explains that.
Oh, that was a bug?
Yeah. Now, my question is, doesn't it kind of incentivize like EHG to like if they want to nerf something because they want to nerf it, even
just to
if
call
it's
it a
not
bug?
bugged, just to call it a bug. Like I know that like that's probably never happened, but like doesn't that like kind of incentivize them to kind of just like, because like in theory they could just say that and like who's gonna question them, right?
I mean,
I mean, it just seems like a roundabout thing to just them wanting to like imagine if the ballista thing wasn't bugged and they just said that it was bugged because har, right?
I mean, case by case basis. Like if something was giving radius instead of giving increased area of effect, like did it say that it was giving increased area of effect, or did it say
says it was giving increased area per dexterity instead of, but it's giving it increased radius?
Yeah, so like that's a bug.
Bigger.
Yeah, that's
fine. Yeah, I know, but I'm just thinking in the future. It just made me think like, it
kind of gives them a backdoor to nerf whatever they want.
Yeah,
yeah, I
don't
hear
have
you.
to play by the rules. It's just kind of funny.
So the screen wide AoE ballistas that are pushing like solo pushing 3,000 corruption, they have half as much AoE as they used to. Fine.
Yeah.
No big deal.
I mean, the problem is even with the reduction, you're still gonna like off screen with them anyways, so it doesn't matter. So
like you'll be completely fine. And like
the people who have it have like 200 dexterity anyways. So
yeah, I want the game to work the way that EHD wants it to work. Because after the game works the way that they want it to work, then we can start complaining about this thing's too weak or this thing's too strong. But like if everything's bugged, it's hard to complain because I don't know what's working as intended and what's not working but intended.
Yeah, not to derail though, but we can keep talking about the CoF thing.
It's kind of hard to derail, but
yeah, it was just really fun.
We're just kind of shooting the breeze.
It was just really funny because I saw that and I was like, I was wondering about that.
Is Serpent Strike working as intended? Is it intended to be this bad?
Yes.
Monka?
Yes.
Poor Serpent Strike. So we have a build contest. I guess hold on. CoF. What else matters for CoF?
I think that's it. I think really the thing is, it's just like sometimes you just got to put on those like double movement speed boots and go faster. Like, and if your build isn't killing enough, well then you either have to accept that you're not clearing as fast and have to accept that you don't have as much gear per hour, or you have to either accept that you might have to change your build. Like for instance, on my build right now, I'm playing Tempest Strike, right? Because your stupid turn that I didn't even get to go in, right? Kappa. That's my fault, by the way. But yeah, like I was playing Tempest Strike and everything. It's just a basic attack. It has no AOE, right? So I have to like So what I've done is I've incorporated the pull on tornadoes. I've specifically gone with the non-attached tornadoes so that they
Mhm.
keep the pull strength,
Mhm.
so they pull everything. And then I've gone with a Warcry totem with the pull, all the pull, and then I turned it into a totem so it casts 3 times instead of 1. So pull, pull, pull. That plus tornado is enough to make the clear not garbage. So I had to change my build significantly to keep up in terms of favor per hour and all that, right? So you either have to do that, like you either have to, fix your build to make it better for clear, right? Or you have to accept the fact that it's clearing less, or you can just go make a Reddit post instead. That works too.
And go complain
Or
about
make
it.
a new build. And it's just like, yeah. And I think that's like
I
think that's
gave
the
someone this
problem.
feedback earlier today, but like
Mhm.
you don't if you're playing a build and like you're dying or it's not farming fast enough, you could fix the build if you want to fix the build. But you could reroll. If you don't enjoy your spark charge build, or if like you don't enjoy shadow daggers, you can just put it down and play something else. Like that's
Yeah.
okay. Like, you can fix
Well,
it. You can definitely
actually-
fix it because those are really good builds. But you
Well,
could
they
just reroll.
do have a specific mob that gives you more favors, Sonoka. There's actually something that they thought of before making the system. It's called XP books.
Not really
You
a
just get the
mob.
XP books. This is a tip before we move on. If you push, let's say, to 400 corruption, okay? That's not that hard of an ask. Not that hard of content, right? If you reset your corruption, odds are the echoes near your center are going to be XP books every single time.
Is that
To
true
have a
or is that
decent
like
amount of-
tinfoil
Yes.
hat?
It is true. I've tested it. It's actually how I farm a lot of favors sometimes. And then you go and reset your corruption by like 5
Mm-hmm.
or however small it lets you, just low, right? And then you do it again,
That was
and then
always true?
yeah.
That's wild.
And then, but the problem is it didn't matter till then.
yeah. Huh.
And now what you do is you push 1 mono to high corruption,
Mm-hmm.
so you get the bonus, so that you keep lowering it, go around the center, lower it again, go around the center, lower it again, because the closer the echoes are to the center, the less rarity they have.
Mm-hmm.
So the odds are they're going to be XP books because they have the lowest rarity, because they're not like, unique / set and all that,
Oh.
right? So they're just going to collect around the center, and you just do it again, do it again, do it again.
As
and then,
long as
like,
we're talking about like kind of harebrained
Yeah.
strategies, note that the
Mhm.
experience books do give you experience based on your character level. They don't scale
Yeah.
with corruption. So like if you're like level 99
well,
or
the
100,
experience gain percentage does. Remember? No, you get more favor based on the experience percentage gain.
wait, what's experience percentage gain? Because like the books have always
With
given you a flat.
corruption. With
The books give
corruption.
you more experience based on corruption.
Well, the corruption mod gives you percent experience gained, Perry.
That's for the monsters you kill though, isn't it?
No, it's for everything.
It's for the
including
books too?
Mm-hmm. You get more favor from the books the higher corruption you are.
The Twitch chat's calling you wrong. Corruption does not give more
What?
back
That-
XP.
It definitely is. Otherwise, books wouldn't be so strong up high. Like,
Should we test it?
it does give more book XP.
It does? It doesn't? It does? It doesn't? Oh!
Okay, wait a moment.
Fight.
It doesn't? Oh,
At 500
okay,
corruption,
so it
each book
doesn't.
is 1500 favor.
Okay, sure. All right.
Oh.
Well, that's still a decent amount of corruption, especially if you're low, I guess.
Interesting.
Huh. Like they definitely feel. I'll have to test that, I guess. But
Yeah, I thought books
definitely
always give a
felt
flat
like they
amount
scale.
on your character level.
Yeah. Oh, I know it's based on.
Oh, is it a
character level.
bug?
Like,
Who
I just remember
knows?
them scaling with XP level. Like, that's why. Yeah, like what Dorn said. Like, I'll have to try it, I guess.
Maybe
Like,
it scales in some servers.
Like, I thought that they gave it was like based on your corruption with the percent XP, because like,
Oh, do they
that's how it
maybe a
felt.
flat amount
Because
plus
the
a
higher
percentage?
the higher I went in corruption, the more I got from the books.
The books were giving you more. I thought I was a yeah. So what Valentin
Yeah.
mentioned at some point, like books at some point did not scale.
Yeah,
Did I miss a patch note? Oh no.
like I'll have to try it.
We'll test it.
But yeah,
Hmm.
that's weird. Okay.
See, this is how you
It's
become.
okay. I can test it like
This is
5
how you become
seconds
educated
when
on
we
the
talk.
internet. You just like you make a bold claim, and then if
Yeah,
you're
I know,
wrong,
right?
everyone points it out.
But even then, even if they don't scale, that's still a really good way of getting a bunch of favor really quickly.
Yeah,
if, like, your
interesting.
build,
Interesting.
if your build sucks, right?
These are
Like,
things that are
yeah.
mostly moot, right? Like,
I mean, if your build sucks, then like, what else are you gonna do, right?
2 people have exact numbers saying it didn't scale. I do like spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are good. All right, I'm gonna continue saying they don't scale.
Go ahead.
And Dread,
Yeah, that's fine.
if you want to prove me wrong, I would love.
I'm literally testing it right now.
Could you please do one thing at a time and like pay attention to the podcast?
I am paying attention to you guys. I'm just loading in. It's okay. You're assuming my build requires brain to function.
So the streamer build doesn't require brain.
Yeah.
We've talked about some CoF stuff. I want to mention some like Merchants Guild stuff as well. Someone brought to my attention that there's a couple like tier 6 and tier 7 modifiers that just like sell for really high numbers because people keep trying to like buy them off the market and slam them on their like unique items. So for example, we said like tier 7 minus mana cost throwing rings are like 25 million gold. Like you pick one up, 25 mil, done. Like, whoa, that's really expensive. We said like 15 mil for tier 6, not even tier 7, plus levels to Frostclaw. It's like, wow, that's absurd.
Well, this is partly due to a few different reasons. The first reason is there's no way of actually price checking unless you actually physically go to the vendor. And let's be real, 99%
Sounds
of people
awful.
are lazy and it's awful. So usually that spreads by word of mouth. And and this is the age of the internet, so it does happen eventually. Like for instance, I didn't know they were selling that much, but I also kept them all, so now I'm just going to sell them because I was keeping them for myself, but now I can sell them.
But
right?
like there's certain tier 7 modifiers that always stand out to me, but like I guess that's the same kind of thing that would like pop off in Merchants Guild. Like -5 mana cost scepters are probably expensive as well, if I had to guess.
Paying attention to what other people are playing is important.
I hate it. Like you start mentioning like the meta and capitalism, supply and demand.
Dude, it's not even the meta. Like,
get out of here.
For instance, there's like the Spark Charge Rune Master everyone's playing. Like it's not like the best Rune Master build. Like the Plasma Orb build's still better, but like it doesn't matter because it's the new flashy build. It's not even like
is it new?
It's just what's popular. Yeah,
Spark Charge Rune Master.
I mean, they're talking about the version where you use Elemental Nova to apply it with the new, the onward nodes with like Frostclaw, like it bounces with Elemental Nova. That build, the build we all already knew about, is significantly more popular
because they buffed Frostclaw for some reason.
Yeah, they buffed Frostclaw for some reason.
Yeah,
and like we don't know why, but they did. And that's like, and that's why, that's why those are going for so much, is because, well, what are they putting it on, Perry? What do you think they're putting it on? A Twisted Heart. What do you think they have to do? They're going to have a 1 LP Twisted Heart. What do you think they're going to have to do? Roll it and roll it and roll it and roll it until they hit it. And that causes like 4. So things that have high demand and low supply in this regard, right? Because no one's picking them up because, no one price checks is because it's a pain in the ass. So all of a sudden there's like a thing in the market here for it, right?
Do people come to your stream asking for a price check?
No.
Thank God.
But apparently there's this Discord that's been formed about it, unironically. They're even making a loot filter for you.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Every time I remotely think that, like, man, maybe it would be fun to try Merchants Guild sometime.
I think it's less about that, and it's more about, like, when I'm annoyed about it. The reason I'm annoyed about it is because this is all exactly what EHG didn't want with the current MG system, hence why it's so obtuse and annoying to use. But then it ends up becoming the case anyways, because we're all degenerate, sweaty gamers who want to min-max. So even if you try to make it not work like that, we're going to make it not work like that. It's like
gamers will min-max the fun out of any video game they play. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
That was actually funny. I actually got a comment on a video about that the other day because of I was playing the Surge static build where, Surge It was like Melee Surge, and I swapped to Flame Reef for clear. And they're like, I hate this build. It optimized the fun out of the game. I'm like, you didn't have to watch the video. This isn't the best Spellblade build ever. It's just something I was trying. Like, just because I wanted to do a weapon, like a skill swap. You know, it was just kind of funny.
All right. So we talked about COF.
Second.
Details something?
I'm about to test it.
I can't wait. What are you doing to test? You just like
I
have
was
two
getting
nodes, you're gonna run
XP
back.
All right. All right. They definitely don't scale.
Oh, okay. They definitely don't scale.
Yep. All right. Cool. Good to know.
Look
I
at that.
They did. Well, okay, with the logic of the to be fair, with the logic of the game, when you see the percent XP, when you see the percent XP thing on the side, you would assume that they would give more XP, right? Right? Like
I didn't
would assume that. I did because it makes sense because it has the thing on the side. You would assume that, right? That's weird. I guess it's just like you just get more corruption higher. Look, that just makes it even. Oh, that just screws over people who have sucky builds though, because like now it's even worse. Now you just go higher in corruption. If you can't go higher in corruption, like you know.
I think it's completely fine.
Oh, I think it's completely fine too. It's just funny, that's all.
Like I often find myself having more what do you call it? More favor, more juice. I just call it juice. More favor than I like want to bother with. Like do I really need like 17 prophecies just to get a 1 LP belt? Like I don't. So.
Oh, I mean, like if you want to be efficient, yeah, eventually. Like cuz like odds are you're going to want a 2 LP belt, right? So like you keep going.
But I've got my 2 LP belt. I don't know. Like so like it gets to a point in CoF where like everything that you want to farm is just like a prophecy. Like, oh, you want like tier 7 cooldown recovery speed on a belt? Go get a prophecy for a bunch of exalted belts and do a bunch of stuff. Like that's just
so what I should do is like when people come and ask me though now, what I need to do is I just need to collect all the planers so we can just go through them together and see like what they're doing wrong. If it's a them thing or it's like a CoF thing, right?
I mean, it's undoubtedly a them thing, right?
Because like I've heard lots of success about CoF, but like I said, I've heard a lot of not success about CoF. But I never hear people having terrible time in Merchant's Guild because they probably. I think
the feedback that we should, or the advice that we should perpetuate is just like like once you get to rank 9, which you're going to get there eventually. Your ideal setup is double, twice, and base type. It's like whatever those lenses are called. That's your strategy for farming. And then there's one more thing. I guess let me give a few more CoF pointers here. We said never doing the 1 LP stuff because the 1 LP guarantee is an absolute scam in terms of cost. If you are farming a exalted item, you can do some min-maxing there. You can either click on a rare node or an exalted node in your prophecies. So there should be rare drops. There really should be rare drops, Yakovich. Your rare items that drop on the ground are very often going to end up being exalted items because they're going to be upgraded because of the like rank 6 or rank 7 that you have in CoF, like the passive bonus that you get. So the point is, the exalted prophecies cost more, but they're less annoying because there's fewer of them. But the rare ones have a much better return on investment because they cost less favor, and those rares that drop on the ground, some of them will be upgraded to be an exalted item instead. So like you'll have to do more prophecies, you'll have to fulfill more of them, but it's a better return if you really want to min-max it, or if you're running low on favor, for example. So that's a good thing to talk about in terms of like min-maxing. The other one was the creation thing that I mentioned previously. And like, I haven't done the creation thing yet, but there's people in chat who just like love it. They have like 100 runes of creation. And a creation is basically a rune of Kalandra. Or sorry, whatever it's called. Mirror? No, I said it right. Rune of Kalandra. But you can get 4. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 4 runes of Kalandra, rune of creation for 8,000 juice, which is real
which can
cheap.
double every single exalted you want to slam
so like
into something.
Yeah, every single one. Like you get a good double exalted
I definitely
item.
don't get that in MG at all. Like see, like they're so funny enough.
Yeah, 4 runes for 8K.
There's Misha. They leveled a character just to farm Rune of Creation prophecies, by the way.
You could do that in Merchant's Guild. Yeah, your Merchant's Guild gamer could have you could swap over to CoF. You could farm up a bunch of runes, Rune of Kalandra, Rune of Creation, and then you could like double all of your items. Yep.
Which is the only thing that CoF had, one of the only things CoF had over MG, and now it doesn't, because you can just level
that
up.
sounds kind of rancid in terms of
kind of rancid.
Like what a try-hard Merchant's Guild gamer wants to do to min-max.
And
it sounds terrible to them.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll nerf it for everybody because of it. Sounds familiar.
Who knew that capitalism could be such a stain on my communist utopia of Circle of Fortune?
It's funny because you say that, right? But like MG is a communist utopia because everything is free, Perry.
Because everything's listed for 0 gold, even though people
haven't cheap as hell.
Yeah, people like haven't figured out like selling things for 0 gold doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know. Like before, what we can do. You know what? I want to do something special. Can you make it so you can screen share on the podcast?
I don't want to, but go on.
Oh, I was going to link my build planner to you, and I was going to go over it real quick and tell you how much my gear costed for the people who are not MG and want to know what it's like at MG.
Oh, you know what?
To give them an idea.
You can link that in chat if you want to.
Yeah, I will link it in chat.
I don't want to use that as a topic of conversation right now because I'd rather do something else.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Let's talk about inflation, quote unquote.
Oh,
in Merchant's Guild. And I think it's a lie. I don't think it exists. You tell me what's going on.
All right. It is true. There is inflation. It exists. So
is it inflation or is it like items are becoming appropriately priced over time as we play more?
It's partly that and partly inflation. Okay. So like the reason why it's inflation is this is exactly how inflation works, okay? Like, for instance, when I started MG, I started listing all of my items for 50K gold that are just trash, like bulk sell. Now, then a week after that, I started selling for 100K, then 150K, then 250K. You know how like that is in PoE where like I don't want to respond to your trade offer unless if it's at least like a divine.
Yeah, if someone pings you to buy something for 1 chaos, are you willing to respond to them?
And that is happening in Last Epoch. But in terms of do I respond to that? It's more like, do I spend the favor for that? Like, would I spend the favor on this 1 LP, like, I don't know, 1 LP, I'm trying to think of a bad
Fire Starter's Torch?
Yeah, why would I put up this 1 LP Fire Starter's Torch for like 50K gold, which is what it should go for, or something like that, right? When I could list it up for 250 gold and that would be worth my time if someone actually bought it. Now, obviously, I don't do that because 1 LP Fire Starter's Torch wouldn't sell, considering a 4 LP one is 500K gold. But
really,
yes, I'm telling you,
Merchant's Guild is so it's totally balanced around being a rancid experience.
I told you this is why. This is literally why when we learned about everything, I was like, hey, this is going to be terrible. It's terrible, just not for the reasons people think it was going to be.
Oh, it's just 4 million gold for a 4 LP Fire Starter's Torch?
Oh, it's 4 million?
Pocket
it was 500K?
Literally pocket change.
I bought 4 of them, but that's still pocket change. That's still pocket change. Yep. That's still pocket change. Like, that's nothing. Like, 4 million, that's like That's like a few
It's
hours.
not okay.
at
So
most.
so
like
for
for
me,
your best in slot item,
yeah.
like
Okay, so
come
I'm
on.
playing CoF and like I have 5 or 6 million gold right now, and like that's a like 4 million gold out of my 6 million. It takes a lot of time to farm
Yeah.
up that money. But if you're playing in Merchants Guild and you're participating in the economy and you're selling stuff and like you find a tier 7 minus mana cost ring and you put it up on the market for 20 million gold,
Mm.
4 million's
that just
nothing.
proves
It's
my point. That
nothing.
just proves my point about the inflation. Because
That's
there was plenty of them
wild.
before. There's plenty of them now, right? Like there's not as if there's a lack of supply.
Mm-hmm.
That just means my point is valid about the inflation. It's like, what would I put up this 4 LP fire stars for? What would be worth it?
Mm-hmm.
4 million gold, right? That's where the inflation is coming from. It's not coming from, there's a magic Zeitgeist, doing all of our stuff and making our money cost less. It's literally because people are playing more, they're getting more gold,
Right.
which means they want more gold for their work, right? Like for instance, if I'm going to spend my hard-earned favor, right, on this random 2 LP item, I want my money's worth out of my favor. So I have not listed a single item below 250k gold for the past I don't know, week and a half now, like when it comes to Exalted, because the reason why these things sell and why I get so many sells is because when people craft and they sit down to craft, they don't just craft one item, guys. They craft like 4 in a row because it can brick and brick again and brick again and brick again, right? And like they need multiple. You know how I know this? Because that's how I craft. That's how I craft all of my items. I go to the Merchants Guild. I choose an item. I'm like, all right, let's craft on this one.
There's
let's
no
craft on this one.
There's no gold tax, not on Merchants Guild.
Yeah.
No, I got a
there's no
question for you though,
gold
Judd. What's like the most expensive item that you've bought and the most expensive item you've sold?
The most expensive item I bought. I can go look at the most expensive item I've sold.
As you talk about that, I want to say like some of my experiences. I was looking for a pair of movement speed
Yeah, go
snowdrift
ahead.
boots, and I only had like a whole bunch of 1 LPs. I didn't have a 2 LP at the time. And it took me 13 to get movement speed on my snowdrift boots, and then I played the build for like another 2 hours. So yeah, did I really need them? No, but at least I have them.
So my highest items I have sold was a Red Ring of Valeria the other day, which was 38 million, and a 3 LP Atrophy, which was 5 million, a Kestrel for 4 LP, which was 4 million, which was like a weekend. This is before it raised up to like 20 million. 2 LP Apogees, which was like on the first few days, which was 2.7 million. A lot of these on the first few days. Most of my currency, my 20 pages of currency, are all directly just 250 to 150 gold sales, like K. And that's because, like I said, the way people craft items in this game, it's because they go through multiple at once. And that's where most of my
they're gonna whiff hit.
Yeah.
They need all those.
And like also like when you're making an LP item, you also need to, craft, right? And then if that fails, then you need to craft again. And trust me, I know how this feels because earlier I did that with my Bleeding Heart. I was like, craft, fail, craft. All right, that was good. Let's slam into the Bleeding Heart. Bam, it hit. It didn't hit. I was like, okay, craft, fail, craft. Okay, this one could work, and then do it again. I did that with. I think I bought the 2 LP Undisputeds when I was buying them were about 500k each. I bought 5 of them, and it took me 5 to get what I wanted because I wanted double T7 attack speed. Right, 2 LP Undisputeds. If you told me that last patch, I would have like laughed at you.
Yeah, you bought 5 of them, and the 5th one hit.
You want to like, I don't know if you guys know what my wing guards are that I'm wearing right now. I have a tier 5 damage over time, tier 5 HP, tier 7 max rolled melee attack speed, and 39% increased attack speed on the actual wing guards. So I have a wing guards with 69% melee attack speed,
nice,
51% dot, and 62 health. And guess how much that cost me? Yes.
10 million gold altogether.
5 million gold. The wing guards was 5 million. Like I said, it's crazy.
It's crazy. But like
that's ridiculous. Thank you.
I need to remind myself about how little playing the economy interest me because like that sounds awesome. That sounds like, oh shit, I can make some sweet builds. But like I want to
My
have
Valdir's Chalice has tier 7 HP and tier 5 strength. Guess how much that cost me to make?
Oh,
500k gold.
500k for 2 LP. Oh wow.
Yep,
All right.
I have a 2 LP Blood of the Exile with T5 movement speed and T5 HP. Guess how much I made that for?
500k.
600k.
Oh, that's getting pricey.
Whoa.
I've had stash tabs cost more than that.
Like, I want to just link you my helmet, Perry. I'm just going to link you my helmet.
Sure, let's see it here.
And I'm going to
put it in chat, yeah.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to link it in chat. If you don't know what's on the helmet, it is a helmet with T5 armor, minion armor, which is good, right? It's on the Ancestral Crown base. It's T5 strength, T6 critical strike avoidance, almost max rolled, and then T6 health. Guess how much I bought that for, Perry?
250.
I bought it for like $1 million earlier on stream.
Cool.
Like, what the heck? Oh, here it is. There it is. Like, I'm sitting on. I improved this character significantly by buying. Like, I bought my best and saw idols. Guess how much they cost? It was
How
like
much favor does it cost? I mean, favor is kind of a moot point.
No, it was like 50. Yeah, favor doesn't matter. Yeah. It was like 50k gold each. Yeah. Guess what they are? Bleed duration, aspect of the board effect. They're max.
It's like rolled. beautiful idols. Exactly what you want.
Yep. I even accidentally have 1900 stun avoidance on my character now because there's a stun avoidance crit avoid idol, huge, and then I hit the stun avoidance mod on my amulet for the HP hybrid, and then I use the stun avoidance chest. So now I never get stunned.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's like, oh, like why isn't my gear as good as the MG guys? That's why.
Well, something that's been fun in like playing and experimenting with builds in CoF on stream is like every time that we pivot or every time that we like change the build or try bleed, try ignite, try a different manner of scaling damage, like the CoF gamer's like, oh, what are you trying now? Okay, I'm gonna go buy perfect gear for it. I'll tell you how it is.
Yeah.
And say, well, what's your build? Oh, your build's just mine, but with perfect gear. Cool. So, like I've been playing this build for like 4 days, and you're like, oh, I've been playing for half an hour. My gear is done.
And it's funny too, because it's weird. Because all the people that I've heard have a terrible time have been CoF. Well, the people I've heard have a great time for the most part has been MG.
Interesting.
But I wonder if that's MG, because for MG to be good, you need to get to rank like 7 and 8. Yep. Otherwise, it's awful. It's awful. Okay? Like ignoring all the UI sucks, like Dread staring at the fucking monitor for like 10 hours.
I don't want to ignore that, but okay, go on.
But we're going to ignore that, right? Just the worst thing about MG is getting to rank 7 and 8 because it's terrible up until then, right? It's just awful. But then like CoF is like a balanced ride the whole time. I wonder how much that is because the people who don't feel confident in their abilities in playing the game just go CoF because they view it as easier.
Yeah.
So like it might be just like a confirmation bias in terms of like
it definitely could be, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that I'll be interested in.
If someone's doing a good time in MG, it's because they're in rank 10.
Right. Another thing that I'll be interested in, like in 2 months from now or so, will be like how much fun I'm still having playing CoF, and like how engaged you are in Merchant's Guild. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to be.
It's going to be an awful time.
You think so?
It's going to be an awful. Dude, the market's already dying. Perry, really? I have.
We're a month in, right? We're like almost exactly a month.
I know. I have 978 items listed, and I have sold 416 of them. Like, there's a reason for that. You know what it is, right? There's no one buying anything. The first few weeks, I had none listed and everything sold for the first 2 weeks. And then now all of a sudden I have 978 listed. And the thing is, I'm still making profit with that.
All right, I'm gonna correct Twitch chat for a moment here. Yeah, instead of saying how many bad players quit the game before getting to MG rank 7, how about how many new players or how many inexperienced players. Like, just because someone's new doesn't mean they're bad. I mean, it does, but like, use different words. You can be new to the game and like not
It's
have
like,
a smooth
I like
sailing
what Cars
experience.
Boy said. He's like, stop listing all your crap then, Dread. The problem is I'm sitting at 25 million after spending 40 million on this build and like 40 million on the last build. I'm gonna keep listing my crap.
Right.
Waking up to like 10 items selling for 250K, that's already 2.5 million in the bank. Like,
Pretty
it's
good.
the ROG principle. If you don't know, to do a
Sure, go ahead.
so in Path of Exile, one of the quickest ways that a lot of people, and I know, including me, have gotten to a Mage Blood or a Headhunter before this league is because when you craft with ROG, you make okay gear. You make like an okay piece of gear, right?
You churn out a bunch of okay gear and you sell it for.
You sell it for bulk price,
Yeah.
1 divine or 1 exalt back in the day, 1 divine, right? And you do that and you keep doing that. And all of a sudden, you're sitting on a Mage Blood. It's the same concept in the last Epoch, if not even worse. Because imagine the items you people buy from ROG are consumable because they have to craft on them and they brick. Like, it's even better. The ROG economy, man, it's like, it's bussin'. Like, I'm making bank. Like, I'm doing great. Sure, I have to stare at the stupid UI for so long, but like I just put on a Dune, like the Dune freaking audiobook that I bought, and I just like click on my stall and copy paste.
I just want to remind the audience, both live and otherwise, that I am a few years older than Dread, and I don't say that the economy is bussin'. So, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, and it's like, but the problem is, I can, as someone who is a whale, I can feel the market starting to slip.
Gotcha.
Like, it's starting, prices are starting to rise. There aren't as many sales. I'm not as rich as I was the first few days, right?
I'm not as
and
rich
the problem
as...
is, well, it's because there's not that many people buying.
I hear you.
Because like the PoE league is like, what, in like a week and a half, the market's gonna die. I will tell you.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
How is Merchant's Guild going to be after PoE spins up?
And after the market dies, and that's why I'm saying, like, yeah, it's just like, that's why I'm saying, like, I might have to actually swap to CoF once that comes. If
that's interesting.
Like, yeah. That's why I was saying, like, at least your mechanic doesn't die off in the middle of the season.
It's true. Listen, I'm having fun. Like, my gear is far from perfect. We're farming up like slowly but steadily, looking for like 1 LP, slam it, 1 LP, slam it, 2 LP, slam it. And like, you can do it. You can always make more progress as a CoF gamer. And like, what I said at the very beginning of like CoF versus Merchant Guild is like, first of all, it reflects how I want to engage with the game. So like, it's just fun for me with CoF. But also like CoF, you will drop random sweet items that aren't for the build that you're currently playing. And that happens all the time. I've got so many cool ass items. Like, oh man, maybe I should play this thing. I'm gonna play that thing instead. Like, I'm going to use those items, and my gear will be fine for all of those experiments that we do. But like, there's so many hooks. There's so many different tangents to go on. It's
funny
a good time.
that you say that, because I have the same exact experience, but instead of dropping them on the ground, I'm just looking at like the market. I'm like, hey, look, that's a 2 LP Salt the Wound listed for 50K.
Are you just like scrolling through random 3 LP uniques?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Well, it's profitable. You get so many like pieces of gear. Yeah, I had the same experience. Just, you know, I have to stare at a UI while doing it, which is pretty soulless.
Man, if they fix the UI, like the UI sounds awful. It sounds absolutely atrocious. But if they fix it, I mean, am I gonna play it?
I mean, my problem is like, are they gonna fix it?
Is it like, supposed to be that?
Is this supposed to be bad? Like, is it like Perry? You know how like MG? I don't know if you know this, but there's like a bunch of idol vendors. There's rogue idols, sentinel idols. They have all these extra vendors for idols. But you know what you can't search for? You can't search between huge, adorned, or anything like that. So if you have like an idol that shares a mod with another idol,
Mhm.
another size,
Mhm.
you can't choose between adorned and all that. It's literally not, you can't do it. You literally can't do it.
Cool.
Like, don't you think that would be like the first thing you think of when you're like, hey, I want to search for an idol of this size, right?
Yeah.
But they have all these vendors here that do nothing.
But you can't filter the way that you want to filter.
And it's like, yeah, well, well, the problem is they took the time to make all these extra vendors to look for only specific kinds of idols.
Yeah.
Right. And then they have this guy that does all the idols at once.
Ah.
But then you can't even search by size.
Well, Twitch
You
chat's
can't
telling
even
me.
search by roles.
Twitch chat's telling me that you want to search by 2 specific affixes, and then it's good.
Well, yeah, that's true. That is true. You can do that. But still, like, why can't I just sort by size?
I hear you.
Maybe I want to look at all the like for instance, when I like, so you know how like when you press Shift F and you look at the loot filter and you get to see like all the affixes there, and you can actually get a pretty good idea of like what's where.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that in CoF. Like if I click on Sentinel Idol and I click on more and I click on affixes, it shows me all of them, including all the other like class idols. And then I go down like I have to go to a third-party website, the thing they didn't want, to go check my idols. Why can't I just do that in game?
Good question.
Like I feel like that's like my biggest thing with this whole thing with the Merchants Guild CoF shenaniganry was the whole thing that this gamer freaking holding the stupid shield still with their offhand because with the bow. Marksman with a shield that definitely fixes marksman.
Continue your thought.
The whole point of the Merchants Guild was to keep people from using third-party programs, right? To have it all in the game.
You mean the Discord for price checking?
Discord, you know, like go to website, whatever you like, Craft of Exile, stuff like that, right? To keep it from that, to keep from third-party Discords showing up, like with PoE, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also to make it so that people don't spend hours in the Merchants Guild looking at the UI all day, like looking, price, like flipping and stuff. But they failed on all three because I still have to go on the planner if I want to learn stuff, if I want to learn where specific things are. So that failed, right? The next thing, there's still third-party Discords needing to be made because there's price checking is a pain in the ass, right? And then I spend all day looking at the UI anyways, even though I'm not flipping.
I want
even the people who don't flip.
I want to contrast. I want to contrast this real quick because I want to point out, like I like shooting the breeze with Dread. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot more complaints from one of us than I do from the other.
I mean, I'm just bringing up the MG stuff. Like I have like god tier gear. For what price, right?
Yeah. And like my gear is fine. I also reroll constantly.
Yeah. I mean, I've leveled 5 characters to level 100.
Yeah.
How many do you have?
It's just 5 or something. They're like level 97, 98. It's a couple. Right. I think 2 or 100. But like, it's fun. It's fun.
No, yeah. I was just like, I've been re-rolling too.
Yeah. I love it. All right, I have a lot of talking left to do today, Dread, because I'm about to do the build contest right after this. So for those of you who don't know, if you're listening to the podcast on YouTube or Spotify after the fact, we have a build contest that I've been hosting over the past week for Tempest Strike. So Dread didn't get his submission in time, so I'm excluding him. It's rules are rules, man. I can't let you win the contest.
The build ended up being fun anyway. So
we have 10 builds that we're about to go over. So I'm gonna end the podcast here, switch gears, and start doing the build contest and do some little voting here on twitch.tv/PerryThePig. And Dread, thank you for shooting the breeze with me. I had a good time. I thought this was a just chatting episode, but it's more like CoF versus Merchant Guild, which I think is a good thing to talk about.
Like that's what we end up engaging.
It is.
That's all the end game we have now, right?
Or we can talk about talk about how other people We could talk about builds too, the profane or the infernal
like-
shade thing. But we could talk about other people, the 500,000 people who play Last Epoch. Some of them play builds that you wanted to play, and then you can't make your video anymore because someone else made the video first.
What?
What?
What do you mean by that?
Oh, the shield rush thing. Wasn't that something that you were interested in?
Oh, no, I didn't want to play that build. That build's dumb.
Oh, you're just complaining about the ward generation.
No, I was complaining about hey, look, ward's busted again, guys.
Weird.
It's like being like a kid to like, it's like being a kid to like a father in his 40 who works on like an oil offshore. It's like, Mom, Dad's drunk again. It's just like, oh, look, Ward's busted again, Perry. Look at that.
Sometimes jokes really land with me, and sometimes they really don't land with me.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, look, it's busted again, Perry.
Can we talk about the 75% culling strike? No, we're not going to talk about the 75% culling strike bill, because it's not culling strike. It's just taking one thing that's really abusive and then turning it into a different abuse case. It's not a good example.
I don't even know what that's about.
Oh, so once you have 100,000 ward off of healing hands, you can turn that into bleed duration with Symbol of Demise, and then if you pop the bleeds, it looks like a kill threshold. It looks like a call.
I mean, like
right, like who cares? Like cool, great.
Yeah.
Like imagine if I spent like a week playing Infernal Shade and I was like one-shotting every boss in the game. Like cool. Cool. It doesn't do anything. Yeah, I can one-shot everything, but it's a bug. Like, who cares?
I brought this up, and I was just like, it's just boring.
To one-shot everything?
Well, I
when
brought
you
this
work
up when I
for
was
it,
talking about Falconer. That's actually what I brought up Falconer, was because I was like, it's not fun when like everything is easy, guys. Like I actually want to work for my build.
When everything's super overtuned and you get this thing scales off in 100%
Falconer
of that,
is like the perfect example of like Falconer is like the perfect example of like literally not work for anything.
Yeah, it's not bugs. It's very overtuned. It's not a bug.
Yeah, like the Tempest Strike build I've been playing, like sure it's been difficult to like set up, but I'm satisfied by it, right?
If it's easier, just go to higher corruption. Yeah, why don't you just push higher corruption? I don't get it. I mean, access to difficult content. There we go. All right, we've already created like 7 other things we could talk about, and it sounds like we have lots to talk about next week. But one of the reasons that I feel okay having like an hour here, an hour and a half there for the podcast is that we do this podcast very often. We do this podcast every single week. So we're going to continue next week as well. We'll have more things to talk about then. But I am going to cut us off. So, Dread, thank you for being here. I look forward to reviewing your submission to the build contest, even though I'm not going to have it in part of the voting. So I'll look forward to your video later on. If you're watching this podcast on YouTube and Spotify after the fact, let us know where you're watching it so we can make sure that your viewing experience is as good as possible. This is episode 44 of the Epic Epoch podcast. I will see you next time. Have a good one.